Don't mind the mess. I'm in full tinker mode, working on another project. So I got another one of these. I've made videos before on one of these little scooters, you know, Razor kid scooters, 24 volt system, 250 watt motor. Still the original motor, and yes, it does get warm. I want to replace it. This motor actually gets a little warmer than the last one. The last one, the motor was in better shape. This one is 5 years old. The other one was older, but I don't know. I guess the motor was just better. The motor gets warm on this one. It works pretty good though. I will replace it. Back wheel, just like the other one, bent axle. Also, I need to... the spokes and everything were all messed up and ripped out of the nipples on this one. The rim was all bent up, and I had to relace it and bend the rim back. So it's very wobbly. It needs to be fixed, but actually it needs to be replaced. And I'm going to. It's like 70 or 80 bucks to replace that wheel. And I kind of want to keep it a mid-drive. I don't want to... They make like a 12-inch hub drive motor that will fit this. You know, be more efficient and all that, but I kind of want to keep it mid-drive. It's neat. I like it, even though it's loud as fuck. But, so for now, because I'm using the brushed motor and everything, I ordered the cheapest brushed motor controller I can get. Yeah, this is for the on-off switch. I've just got it kind of bridged for now with a bread tie, just to tell it to turn on and off. But the cheapest one, and also I didn't want to cut up my old bike's parts, because yeah, the bike itself is underneath the RV in storage, but these are all the electrical and everything, because I didn't want to cut up. This right now can still be just bolted right onto another e-bike. Like everything, just put it on, put the back wheel on, and there you go, you got an electric bike. So I don't want to cut up the wiring harness or do anything. I want to be able to just put that onto a bike. So I didn't want to try and use the throttle if it's even compatible. It's not really, but I didn't want to. So I ordered the cheapest one of these that came with a throttle, right? And that throttle, could not find a very cheap one that came with a twist grip. This was only like 30 bucks, maybe, if that, and it's a foot throttle. So I modified it with the cheapest, that was only like $5, twist grip throttle. It's a mechanical little kid's pit bike throttle, and yeah, it works. Check it out. Works pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty touchy. You know, I might even end up putting a better spring, I don't know. The original spring in this throttle I had to take out, it was too tough. Where is it? It's like a freaking mousetrap spring or something. It was way too strong and I couldn't twist the throttle up there very well. And since this thing doesn't have good mounting ability, this thing sucks, by the way. I don't recommend it. So the thing that makes it work comes out the bottom of it. So you can't just mount this whole thing flat on a smooth surface. Like say it's my hand. You can't just mount it like that. There's a piece that goes through it and comes out the bottom about that far. So there has to be a hole under it. Therefore it's mounted hanging off the edge like this. And I had to drill the hole to mount it. It's just bolted on with a self-tapper. I had to drill a hole through to access it and everything. But yeah, I took the spring off and I had to do all that, so that's why it's mounted on the edge. And I wished I could have lined up, see how the cable's going at an angle there? I did that because I probably could have put the cable here, but then that would have put twist torque on this. I wanted the top here to not break off one day. So it's at a weird angle, which isn't great for the cable. But it's only going on plastic. It'll eat its way, eat a little angle in the plastic and all that. So It's just the, you know, the throttle head going through the little tiny hole, and then this screw going through that hole too, holds the head in there. It's not a bad way to do it, it works. And then this cable, or spring I already had. I bought 2 of these springs ages ago, used one of them on my motorized bicycle for the throttle, and now this one's going for the same kind of concept, for the, kind of like I did for the carburetor, as a return spring. That's what I got them for. That's what they're being used for. Yeah, this is on here pretty good now, finally. Took forever to ponder and find a way to mount this little fucker. Different ideas and everything. So this is just a 36 volt, 350 watt controller. I haven't tested it, I haven't ridden it yet. I have been riding this thing straight wired like I did the other one. Oh yeah, I have a lot of batteries in there. I can't believe I managed to fit all the batteries. So there are all 6 batteries that were on my other e-bike from my e-bike project fit hidden in here. I was thinking I was going to have to make like a storage compartment that fits and sits on the floorboard and then put pegs on it because I have nowhere to put my feet. 2 of them go in there. The other 4 actually fit in there. And I'm sure, because there's enough space here, and I put like a little foam fender to keep water from slashing up at shit, but because there's enough space here, I could one of these days put all my batteries in here and then have the storage back there. For now, I'm not worried about that because this is, you know, it's going to work. So I only got 1 battery kind of dicking around. These things, what I like about these, and the fact that I use a smart charger for them, these all have a BMS, right? The BMS only, you know, will take power, let out power in certain conditions. So, like, this is way better than 250 or even one of those expensive brand name $400 e-bike batteries. Like, these are $40 a cell. For 6 of them, you get 26.4 amp hours at 36 volts for about $240 right off the bat. And each cell, right off the bat, that's better. And each cell is able to continuously put out 15 amps. So, and they're all running parallel. So this is a great, as long as you make sure you're wiring, so the wires coming out of them is fine and all. That's, and then I got it up to a, what is that, 12 gauge. That's just for this situation, 12 gauge is enough. But if you want to run the full capacity of these, like say you're putting this on a 70, or on not a 72 volt, but a higher amperage project, well then coming from here, because once you loom them all together like that, you'll want a much thicker wire. And if you want to measure and make sure these, I think these are 16, maybe 14. I need to read on them. They look like 16, but either way, you want to make sure those also are able to handle it. If not, then you want to get some with thicker, or just get these by themselves with a solder on end so you can solder on your own. Make sure everything can handle the amperage, but like for what I'm doing, this is all great. Those parts don't get hot. Well, when I had it straight wired, things got warm, but that was because I was drawing way too many amps. It was straight wired. Now I have a limitation set up. So it should all be fine. And this is cheap to replace and stuff. But yeah, I'll have more videos on this. I already put handlebars on it, better handlebars, so adults can ride it. I do want to replace the front forks. Yeah, I can feel that when I ride this thing. It does not feel safe. It's just the bearings though, honestly, everything's tightened down. And the way it's designed, like the handlebars are tight in there. That pipe goes into the piece of this that goes up in there. So even if the bearings are completely shot, it can't fall all the way out unless this bolt and everything slips out of there. So I'm not gonna wreck and die anytime soon. It's just shitty steering. It's wobbly and stuff. Well, not wobbly, it's just wobbly, but like not side to side. It's just bearings are shot. So I'll be replacing or fixing that eventually. It's not a huge deal, it's just annoying. You know, you don't get nothing for free that works great, right? So I temporarily screwed on this little puck light for a headlight. I'll put a bulb in there eventually. Little things don't come with a bulb. So I've got to figure my brakes out. The brakes on this work, but once I put these handlebars on it, the cable was too short. The cable and housing. Turns out all my cables and housings are too short. Because even my brand new one that I bought for the other e-bike, that's this one with the cable head still in it. That's a brand new one and everything. It's too short. It's the exact same size. And the cable is a little bit longer than the cable off this scooter. But this housing is the exact same length. I ended up having the same length housing, so it does me no good. So what I might end up having to do is modify and make some sort of split housing setup on here. And I think I can get away with using the slightly longer cable. Maybe. Hopefully I don't have to end up having my brakes way up here. Or on a curve. They're still over a little further than I would like, I believe. Yeah. This is the one that came off, but I'm just going to use it. Even though it's not the best brake lever, it's got the cutoff switch, right? Built into it. And the only other ones I have with that are built into the wiring harness for this, and I don't want to cut them off. So I'm just going to use that one, since it already has the cutoff switch. So there's that. And yeah, there's a few parts from this bike I will be using on the scooter, like phone mount, mirrors. What the hell is this? Well, that's the other grip that goes on this bike. Yeah, phone mount and mirrors. You know, maybe the security system. Not too sure. I don't want to cut too much off of that. Like I said, I want it to be able to be bolted on, wired up, and go on another bike if I go to sell it or put it on another bike for myself. I kind of like the idea of this, though. I'm in another RV now, and I can carry this. I can pick it up and put it in here. I don't need to worry about putting it on the back rack. And so I like this. But I can put this on the back rack if I want to. And this rides more comfortably than the big bike I had. The big bike was towering, and I had to tiptoe. And the handlebars, I had to lean way forward. This one, I can sit in a more relaxed position. Yeah, it's tiny, but it's not that tiny. It's like a mini bike, and by the time I get done modifying it, like I did the other one, change the position, the angle of the seat, the better handlebars. Really, all you need to do is change the angle of the seat and put better handlebars on it, and get the angle of the handlebars correct. That's it. And then this thing rides perfect for an adult, like a mini bike, like an adult's mini bike or something, and they go pretty fast. Right now, I've had this thing almost 30 miles an hour. And I've had mini bikes before, gasoline-powered mini bikes that go like 37, 40 miles an hour. So this thing rides just as good. It's pretty much just an electric mini bike the way I'm doing it. So it's not bad. It has more style, though, than an electric mini bike. That's what I like. I want to ride this thing with no body, or I wanted to originally, until now that I've got all this extra shit going on that would just look ugly if I rode it with no body. But the person who gave it to me said they really liked the body and said they only give it to me if I promise to keep the body on it. And so, yeah, I'm going to keep the body on it. It turns out it's a benefit of keeping the body. Like I said, I'm having all this extra shit. Unlike the pink one where it was pretty simple. I literally just had it straight wired, and it was simply straight wired. Everything ended up being in this blue toolbox that was on the back of the pink one. It ended up looking really streamlined, so it looked decent. But this one's going to have a lot of because the more I do electrical, the better I get. But the better I get means, you know, a lot of wires. Because I got extra shit, and I do it the right way. Which means when you do it the right way, there's more wires. So yeah, it ain't just straight wiring it. And I have this big pigtail to hook all the batteries up correctly. Or what do they call it? I think when I bought it, it's called a banana connector or some shit. I don't know. I don't see any bananas here. But I call it a pigtail. This goes there. It just kind of sits there. Yeah, I got it zip tied like that because I said so. Oh yeah, the reason this is... Or was it here? No. Oh yeah, it was this one going to the motor. So coming out of here, this was wired backwards. Something was wired backwards, because I put... This is red and black coming out into the thing. Alright, regardless of these colors, because I've got red going into the red here. I made sure of that. Black's going into the black here. My output was reversed. Battery was, or the motor was going backwards, and I was literally using the factory, this all factory plugged in. So the factory plug for the motor, factory plug coming out of this, didn't fuck with it at all, just plugged it in the way it was designed to be plugged in. And the motor was going backwards. So what I did was just unhooked the pins in this one that come out of this, flipped them around, plugged it back in, and it works fine. So something was hooked up backwards on this. I tested all my voltages going in correctly. This was either put on backwards, this plug, or something's wired backwards. Like, it could be that they wired these two wires, the positive and negative going in backwards. I don't know if it can accept backwards power, but yeah, something was backwards. Like, this is so cheap that they fucked up. Like, I didn't fuck with anything and it went backwards. I literally just did it the right way. It's just plugged in. This is the factory come from the batteries originally that was on this. Just hooked to my new battery setup. And I made sure to, because this wasn't hooked to these batteries until, not properly anyways, until this, and then I made sure to line up my positive with their positive wire. Make sure everything was hooked up correctly. Yeah, they just fucked up, so I don't recommend it. I'm not even gonna try and tell you, like, don't get it. Get something better. I hate that I always have to modify or fix things that I buy when I buy cheap stuff. It's annoying. But yeah, the throttle isn't too terrible. I mean, it's cheap. This is all just plastic. The part that rolls in there is plastic. The part that the cable connects into is plastic, so I got to not over torque it. That's what people try to do with these fucking things, with these cheap throttles. They over twist them and then rip the part that holds the cable apart, and then they're fucked. So, you know, don't do that. But yeah, so just thought I'd show a little video on that.